Good evening, everybody. My name is Lee Muller. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm the External Affairs Manager for New York American Water. We would much prefer to come to you in person and talk to you about the West Boulevard and adjacent street main replacement. But unfortunately, as we all know, we've had to change the way we do things. So we are coming to you live tonight over live stream. Did want to just start with a few housekeeping items. On the right side of your screen, you will see that we have a Q&A section. Please go ahead and drop in any questions that you might have for our team. We will track them throughout our presentation, and then at the end, we're going to have a lot of time to go ahead and answer any questions that you might have about this project. So just to give you an idea of what we're going to speak about this evening, first I'll go ahead and introduce who we have on the live stream with us from New York American Water. Then I'll turn it over to John Kilpatrick, and he'll give us an overview of the project. We also have a map of the work area so that you can see exactly where we will be. John will also give a timeline of the work and talk about the different phases of the project so you can better understand exactly what to expect from the construction. And then we have Bill Popolowski on the line as well. He's going to talk a little bit more about construction impacts and what you can expect to experience while we are on West Boulevard and adjacent streets replacing the water main. And then, as I noted, we're going to have ample time to answer any questions that you might have. So again, please drop any questions you have in the Q&A to the right, and we'll be narrating them at the end and giving those questions over to John and Bill to answer. So as I mentioned, we have John Kilpatrick on the line. He is the Director of Engineering at New York American Water. We also have Bill Popolowski. He is the supervisor, and he will be on site during the main replacement job. Myself, Lee Muller, External Affairs Manager. And then Banker Construction is our contractor for this job. We do many jobs with them, and they are great to work with. They keep a very clean work site and are very accommodating for our customers. And they will be doing the construction on the West Boulevard and adjacent street main replacement. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to John Kilpatrick. Thank you. All right, I think John might be speaking, but John, you're on mute. Can you go ahead and unmute yourself? Sorry, everybody. Thanks for your patience. All right, I think John's still struggling with his mute button. All right, well, while he does that, I've got a little bit of familiarity with the project, so I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about what we can expect with the main replacement. So hopefully you've all received a postcard from us, already giving a little bit of detail about the work, but we are going to be replacing 2,630 feet of water main. We have old water main in the ground, and we're going to be replacing it with new ductile iron water main. That new water main is really going to help us improve water quality and water flow in the area, so we're really excited to have this project underway. The main replacement is going to take place on West Boulevard from North Boulevard at the north to Sampson Street West in the south. That is going to be the extent of the work along West Boulevard. And then we're going to be doing a handful of the adjacent streets, specifically Evans Street West, Hudson Street West, Martin Street West, and Court Street West. And then along with replacement of the ductile iron main, we're going to be replacing 4 fire hydrants, as well as 210 utility-owned service lines. So that's our portion of the service line from about curb edge to where it connects to the water main. Overall, this project represents about $1.5 million investment in your neighborhood, and we're excited to get this work underway for you. So let me hop back over and see if John has been able to get himself off mute. Any luck? All right. All right, guys, so bear with me. I'll go ahead and keep moving through the slides. So here we have a map of the work limits for our project. Again, just highlighting the streets that I was just naming, North Boulevard to the north and Sampson Street West Boulevard Street to the south, and that'll be the extent of our work along West Boulevard and adjacent streets. Okay, work timeline. Again, I'm going to just hop over and see if we were able to grab John yet. Okay, it doesn't look like it. Sorry about this, everybody. Just a reminder, go ahead and drop any questions you might have in the chat. Okay, so talking a little bit more about work timeline. We are aiming to start this project on Monday, July 20th. This is dependent on weather. So again, you will definitely see us when we're out there. I think one of the first things you'll see is pipe delivery. That would probably happen on that Monday. So again, we're aiming to start July 20th, but we have to keep an eye on the weather and see what might happen for us. So we're expecting that the work will take about 9 weeks to complete, and work will happen in 4 phases. The first phase is really where you're going to see the most action on the street. That is our phase 1, and it is trenching and installation of the water main. We expect this to take about 3 weeks. This will be approximately 2 weeks for the work on West Boulevard, and then an additional 1 week for the side streets. Phase 2 is testing and sampling of the new main. This is kind of a phase where you won't see that much action on the street. We actually go ahead and run water through the new main. We do have to go in and sample that water. We deliver those samples to the Nassau County Health Department, and they need to approve our samples before we're able to then move into phase 3, which is connection of your service line to the new water main. So testing and sampling phase 2, we expect to take about 2 weeks. And then once we get good samples and approval from the health department, we will move into phase 3. That's when we will be installing and transferring service lines to the new water main. This we will do for each customer. So you will be notified the day of or possibly before when we're going to be transferring your service line to the new water main. The final phase of the project is obviously restoration of the street. Restoration will follow shortly after the last service is complete. So we have to go down the entire stretch of West Boulevard, and if there's any service lines off the adjacent streets, make sure we get all those services complete. And then once that last service has been completed, then we'll come back and follow with road restoration. I did want to note that, and we'll get into it with construction impacts as well, but we will be restoring the road every evening. No trench will be left open. So we will be backfilling any trench that we dig so that there is, blacktop to drive over every evening when we finish the day's work. So let me hop back over to our portal and see if we've been able to get John or Bill back on the line. Okay. I apologize. We definitely seem to be having some technical difficulties this evening. Please go ahead and keep dropping your questions in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them.
Lee, can you hear me?
Ah, yes. Hi, Bill. How are you?
All right. How are you?
Good. All right. Actually, perfect timing, Bill. We're moving over to construction impacts. Everybody, this is Bill Popolowski on the line, and as I mentioned, he's going to be the on-site supervisor for the job. So Bill, our first slide is construction impacts, and we're just talking about the fact that we're going to be moving in 200-foot segments down the street. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what folks can expect as you're going down the street?
Sure. Our goal is we're going to start up on the south portion of West Boulevard, and that's going to be right by Sampson Street. Our goal is to get a minimal of 200 feet a day in. If we can get more, that'll be great, but we're aiming for 200 feet. Our equipment will be a payloader. We'll have an excavator and what's called a tiger cat. Basically, that's a machine that moves the road. And plus, those 3 machines will be there 24/7 on the street. Of course, we'll have dump trucks and plus utility trucks, which will be there during working hours, and they will be moved at night. They won't be on the street. As we go down the street, we will knock on doors to move cars out of the driveway. we will put cones up. There will be, you will be receiving a letter with my office phone number on it. If you have any concerns, such as a dialysis appointment or doctor's appointment, and you're worried about getting out of driveway, feel free to call me, and I'll call you back, and we will take care of this, and we'll make sure that you can get out of your driveway. As Lee said, as we go down the road, everything will be patched that night. As we dig, the dirt, some of the dirt's going to be offloaded into a dump truck, and some of it's going to be on the street. As you're well aware, the street is very narrow, so we have to dig a trench approximately 6 feet east of the west curb, and we must maintain access to get in and out of the road. So we will have flag personnel on both sides of the trench dealing with traffic. So if you're coming up to the flag personnel, please be patient. If it takes a minute to move something, we'll get you by, but just bear with us. We ask you not to park on the road during working hours. We will have equipment going up and down the road, dump trucks, things like that, and plus we have to get asphalt down that road. We don't anticipate shutting any water off, but of course when you deal with stuff old, there's unexpected things in the ground that we hit and we break, and if that happens, we do have to shut the water off, but it's not planned. Any planned outages, we give you 24-hour notice. We're going to go directly down West Boulevard, bypassing the side streets for now. We want our goal is to get off West Boulevard because that's going to be the busiest. So we're going to start from Sampson. Sampson will work our way down to north. And then once we're down to north, we will come back and do the side streets. As we said, once all this pipe is in, we have to chlorinate. We kind of disappear for a couple of weeks as the samples are done. And then once we get clearance, we will come back and do the water services. Every water service for every house is going to be replaced from the main to the property line. Once all of that is done, the patch will have to sit for a few weeks, and then we will come back and do restoration.
Bill, while you're talking about, while you're talking about restoration, we do have a question from one of the homeowners, and they're asking if, will a homeowner be responsible to replace the curb to meter lines? I believe they're talking about the service line.
No, we go, our responsibility is from the property line to the main.
But the homeowners won't have to replace their service during this project, correct? We will connect to their existing service line.
No. If it's an old service, you know, when you hook up new to old, sometimes the old stuff does break. You know, I hopefully it doesn't, but we are responsible from the property line to the main. And hopefully the customer has copper, and then everything is fine. Do
you want to talk a little bit about the lead service line that we have as part of this project? The lead service line replacement?
Yep, sure. We have some information on some of the houses, but the houses that we have no information, you will be getting a notice from D&D Engineering, which is our engineering firm. They will be asking permission to either get into your house to inspect your water service to see if it's lead or not. I believe with the letter they send out, you could take a picture with your camera and send it to them, or make a physical appointment for an inspection. If you have any questions or not too sure what type of service do you have.
Okay. This is volume one. Can you hear?
Is that John Kilpatrick, finally?
Yep.
All right, great, John. So glad you were able to get back on.
Great. I did want to just spend a second here talking about the lead service lines. This is an important item for American Water. As Bill was explaining, the company, we own the service line from the water main to the edge of your property. Customers own the service line from the edge of the property into their house where the meter is. However, American Water is really committed to removing lead in our water system. That's very important to us. And if we discover that you have a lead service line, we're going to be replacing that as part of this project. So as Bill was describing, we're going to have our guys out there. They might need to get into your house to see what kind of water service line that you have, and they're going to go down to where the meter is, and they're going to look at the meter and try to determine if you've got a lead service line or not. When the guys do make an appointment to come into the house, they're using full protective equipment. They'll be wearing face masks, gloves, and if you're not comfortable with those folks coming in and checking your service line, like Bill said, you can always take a camera and they can instruct you how to take a picture of your service line. You can take the picture that way and give that to us. But so if we do come in there and replace your service line, we'll do that. The American Water will be paying for that, and we'll clean up any items that get disturbed during that replacement. Okay, what's the next slide you guys see?
So that's actually the extent of the slides that we have. Since we have you back on, John, is there anything from what I was kind of covering for you that you wanted to highlight for the folks on the phone or on the live stream?
Yeah, I think we covered most of it. I think one thing I'll say is there's, in the streets that we're doing, there's a few side streets that we're not doing. And I just want to point out the reason that we're not doing those is we've recently replaced water mains in those streets. I think that's Sampson, Ferry, and Fulton Street. Those have newer 6-inch special iron mains in there. All of the side streets that we're doing, Court, Martin, Hudson, and Evans, these have 1920s era galvanized water mains down there.
Okay, thanks, John. I'm just looking at our Q&A panel. Again, if you have any questions, please go ahead and answer them or plug them into our Q&A chat. So I think we need a little bit more clarity about service line. So I think we got a kind of a two-part question. I just want to make sure I ask it in one, John, and then you can hopefully address it. So you talked about the portion of the service line that we're responsible for. What's being asked is, will homeowners be responsible to replace curb to meter portion of the service line if damage due to construction or increased pressure? This could potentially lead to a big bill for homeowners.
Yeah, so the customers do own the service line from the curb stop into their house. And, obviously if there's any parts that we damage, we'll fix that as part of the construction project. We can give you information about your service line, what it's made of, and if residents choose to have their service line replaced, they can get those service lines replaced. We're not requiring people to replace their service line. That's entirely your property. That's your choice.
Okay, thanks, John. We've got another question here. Once the water main is installed on West Boulevard, will the water pressure increase from West Sampson Street south to the bay? So that's the stretch of the street that we're not directly working on, but obviously connected to the new main we're putting in.
Yeah, we should see a slight increase in pressure down in the southern portion of West Boulevard. But we have recently replaced some water mains down there in the southern portion of West Boulevard. So already today, that area is connected up to newer 8-inch mains that leads up to larger transmission mains. So maybe minimal pressure increases in the very southern portion of West Boulevard, where there's already new mains. I think the biggest differences will be from Sampson Boulevard North, and especially on the side streets where they're being served off smaller galvanized mains.
Okay, thanks, John. So while we wait for maybe a few more questions to trickle in, Bill, are you still on the line? I was wondering if we could just maybe touch a little bit more on parking and what customers can expect and might be asked of them in regards with parking on the street during construction.
Well, we're going to ask the people if please keep West Boulevard open from 8 to 4 o'clock. The more room we have, the easier we could keep traffic flowing down West Boulevard. I mean, there's a lot of houses in that one area. There's only one way in and out. After 4 o'clock, you could park in your driveways. You could park on the street. Just that we ask you to move at 8 o'clock. The more room we have to work, the quicker we could go. And it's safer for everybody. Of course, we have to load pipe up and down the road, and we don't want any accidents or anything hitting the car. So we'll ask you not to park on West Boulevard from 8 to 4.
Okay, thanks, Bill. It looks like we have another question. And forgive me, I don't know what a stub is, so I might Bill or John. Will you need to dig around the stub? If the stub is surrounded by concrete, will this be a problem?
What do they mean by stub? Like the curb box?
Could we ask the attendee that asked a question about the stub for a little more clarity around what you mean by stub? And Jessica will see if she can. All right, I'm not sure if the.
Well, we might not know what a stub is, but it's usually not a problem. Our guys we can dig through concrete. We can do whatever needs to be done out there. We haven't come up against any problems that we can't solve yet.
All right, thanks, John. And I know Jessica's reaching out to the member or the attendee that asked that question for a little bit of clarity. So we'll wait and see if they provide that.
Lee, can you ask, since we have everybody online here, can you ask them if they have any suggestions of where we could, maybe they can help us out? As
Sure.
You know, we have tractor trailers coming in, and we do have 2,000 feet of pipe, which is a lot of pipe. So we need to offload it and store it somewhere. Any
Sure,
help?
Bill. Yeah, let me get to you in 1 second because we got clarity on what that attendee was asking. Okay. So they meant the water box. If the water box is surrounded by, I'm assuming curb box, if that's surrounded by concrete, will that be a problem at all?
Whatever we break, we fix. So if it's really good concrete, we will try to knock on the door and discuss with the customer first before we break anything. But if we do break the concrete, we'll have to saw cut it and replace it. We replace the slab that we broke.
Okay. So while we wait for a few other questions to come in, what Bill was referring to, and he's kind of posing it to our attendees online, is we do have a lot of equipment and pipe coming in. If anybody in the community has a suggestion on where we could store those materials during the construction so that they are, out of the way, it's maybe a safe holding area if there's any vacant lots, or if there are any, maybe good holding areas on one of the adjacent streets at the end, we would be open to, input from the community on where might be a good place to leave that. So somebody's asking, is it possible to leave large equipment in an empty lot on West Boulevard instead of in the street? I think we're all on the same page. I think we would definitely like to do that as well. So if there is an empty lot that the community is aware of that we could use, we would be happy to do that. We'd be happy to coordinate with the Civic, if that could work out for all of us. I think we would like to do something like that.
Lee, can you ask them maybe?
They can hear you, Bill. You can ask them directly.
At the intersection of North Boulevard and Rame Avenue, right by where the canal is, North Boulevard is pretty wide. Would there be any objection if we could put the pipe on North Boulevard where Rame Avenue is, in that area, right in front of the canal there? I wonder if there'd be any objection.
So we can see if anybody responds to that directly, but they are saying in the chat that they would recommend using the same lot that the town of Hempstead used for their most recent project. Do we know where that is, Bill?
I think that's not big enough. I think what they're referring to is where they did the bulkheading project. To store pipe, we need a level surface because it's stacked, and of course we don't want anything rolling off. So that might not work. We can probably put the machines in that area, but we can't store the pipe there because we need level ground. We don't want anything rolling off. God forbid if somebody walking by and a piece of pipe rolls off, we don't want that. So we're going to need kind of a level surface to put our pipe on.
Okay, they're saying that the lot they're referring to is on West Court Street. Is that the same one you're thinking, Bill?
No, I'm thinking about there was a lot on West Boulevard where they just recently put a bulkhead in. I could turn around and take a look at that lot on West Court. I will.
Okay, so thank you, attendees. Trisha, I see you mentioned that. So we will go ahead and check out that lot at West Court Street, see if Bill thinks it would be adequate to hold all the, we have about 2,000 feet of pipe, so that's the biggest thing that we're, looking for some storage area for. Okay, great. All right. Any more questions coming through on the chat? We can go ahead and take a look. And again, apologies for our technical difficulties in the beginning. Glad we were able to get everybody at least on through audio. As Bill mentioned, I'll go back to the slide. He is going to be on site during the project. His phone number is up on the slide that I'm showing now. He is happy to work with customers that have any concerns, any special needs that we need to take into consideration during the project. As you mentioned, you'll also be receiving a letter with his name and phone number on it. So, don't hesitate to reach out. We understand that, West Boulevard is tight and that we're going to have to, all kind of work together to minimize impact for one another. Okay, we have one question, and I'm not sure if we know the answer to this. John, you might know. Does the town of Hempstead plan on raising West Boulevard at the low point by Fulton Street? Do we know anything about the town's plans, or should we refer to them?
No, we've talked with the town a little bit about any kind of drainage improvements that we're doing down there. We didn't really get a clear understanding of what they're going to be doing. I think it's very minimal. I thought it was maybe improvements to some of the drainage valves. So I would definitely encourage folks to go directly to the town of Hempstead to understand what the improvements are with regards to drainage.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the attendees? All right. Well, I know we've been working with the Civic Association, the Bay Park Civic Association. Thank you so much for sharing the information about our meeting tonight. Thank you for working through all of the delays related to COVID with us. We know we're really in some unknown times. We definitely want to get out and get this project in place. So we're looking forward to, working with the community. And if you have any questions or concerns, we do have Bill's number. The Civic Association does have mine and John's contact information as well. So, in advance of July 20th, if anybody has any questions or concerns, please reach out to us at New York American Water. John, would you like to close with any statements or remarks?
Yeah, thanks for everyone's participation today. This is really great. And this project and every other project we do, like we said, we got folks out there on the street, boots on the ground. We're willing to talk to the folks and make any accommodations that we can to make this project go smooth and easy. And we look forward to working with you guys out there.
Thanks, John. And while you were talking, we got a comment, and Bill, this might be for you. We're being told to speak to the homeowner at the east side of North Boulevard about vacant lot to store pipe, or east end of North Boulevard. So Bill, we can, maybe ride out there and take a look at those lots and reach out to the homeowner.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for everybody's participation. Hope everyone stays well, stay healthy, and have a great 4th of July weekend. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Lee.